This is an AI-assisted documentary. The visuals and narration were created with artificial intelligence. All characters shown are fictional AI-generated, no real individuals are depicted. For years, America believed it had built the impossible. An aircraft that enemy radar could barely see. It slipped through the darkest skies, completed its mission, and disappeared before anyone even knew it had arrived. Engineers designed every surface for one purpose: to make radar reflections as small as possible. Every angle, every edge, every panel existed for one reason: to reduce radar detection.
The F-117 was never truly invisible. It was simply much harder for radar to detect.
The Cold War changed military aviation forever. Nations searched for a way to fly where radar could not easily see.
Inside one of America's most secretive engineering programs, designers pursued an aircraft unlike anything the world had ever seen.
Its shape looked almost impossible. Sharp edges replaced smooth curves. Every surface served a purpose.
Stealth did not make the aircraft invisible. It redirected radar energy away from enemy antennas, making detection far more difficult.
As the aircraft entered operational service, its reputation grew rapidly. Around the world, many began calling it the invisible jet.
During Operation Desert Storm, the F-117 entered combat. Night after night, it flew deep into heavily defended airspace. Guided by advanced navigation and precision weapons, the aircraft struck strategic targets with remarkable accuracy.
As mission after mission succeeded, the aircraft earned a legendary reputation: the invisible jet.
Success created confidence. Confidence created legend. But every legend carries the risk of overconfidence.
Hundreds of miles away, another team reached a different conclusion. Stealth did not mean invisible. It only meant harder to find.
Yugoslav commanders understood one reality. They could never match NATO aircraft for aircraft. Their missiles were decades old. Their radar was outdated. Yet they refused to believe the battle was already lost. No targets detected. Instead of keeping their radar active, they waited. Silence became their greatest weapon. The missile batteries stayed in one place. Constant movement made them far more difficult to destroy. Night after night, they watched. Not searching for the aircraft itself, but for patterns created by human decisions.
March 1999. NATO launched Operation Allied Force. A new air campaign was about to begin over Yugoslavia. Mission planners finalized routes, timing, and objectives. Every detail mattered before the aircraft ever left the ground.
As always, preparation came first. Every inspection followed the same disciplined routine. Inside the cockpit, every checklist was completed with practiced precision. Nothing suggested this mission would be different. The stealth aircraft lifted into the darkness, beginning what seemed like another ordinary combat mission. Deep inside hostile airspace, the night appeared routine. Silence was one of stealth's greatest advantages. Every movement, every instrument check, every second followed years of disciplined training.
Below, another team waited. Their greatest weapon was patience. Keeping the radar silent reduced the risk of being discovered. Waiting became part of the strategy.
Neither side knew it yet, but history was bringing them together, one quiet minute at a time.
After several nights, a pattern slowly appeared. The routes were never identical, but they were familiar enough to study.
Every relocation increased their chances of surviving another night, and perhaps finding an opportunity.
High above, nothing appeared unusual. Every instrument suggested another successful mission. Then came the order. Activate the radar, but only for a few precious seconds. A weak signal appeared, disappeared, then appeared once again. It was only a fleeting return, but it was enough to demand attention. The signal grew slightly stronger. It was still uncertain, but uncertainty was better than nothing. Then, the return vanished. For a brief moment, it seemed the opportunity had slipped away. Moments later, the signal returned. This time, the commander chose to act.
Re-speecher. Timed.
Loke, sendi actions.
Next into systems.
Donnie here. Order the launch immediately.
Copy that. Launch sequence engaged. The order was given. Years of preparation had led to this single decision. Seconds later, the silence ended. The first missile climbed rapidly into the night sky. A second missile followed immediately, giving the battery another chance before the radar had to fall silent again.
High above, the mission suddenly changed. Training took over before there was time to think. The first missile passed harmlessly by. For a brief instant, survival still seemed possible. Then the second missile exploded nearby. The shockwave and fragments severely damaged the aircraft, changing history in an instant. The aircraft shuddered violently. Warning lights spread across the cockpit as critical systems began to fail. Years of experience guided every decision. He checked the controls, the instruments, and the aircraft's response. Zelko evaluated every remaining option. The damage was too severe. Despite every effort, the aircraft could no longer remain safely under control. Only one option remained. A decision no pilot ever wants to make. In a fraction of a second, the canopy separated, and the ejection seat launched him into the freezing night sky. Now alone above unfamiliar terrain, Dale Zelko drifted toward the ground. The battle in the sky was over, but the fight for survival had only begun. Moments later, the aircraft came down. The world's most famous stealth aircraft was no longer invisible or airborne. Training took over immediately. Every movement had one purpose: avoid detection.
On the ground, military units moved quickly. They knew the crash site could reveal valuable intelligence.
Maintain radio silence until we reach the grid.
Identify, this is Vega 3-1, initiating contact.
Hundreds of kilometers away, the encrypted survival signal reached NATO command. One fact mattered above all others: the pilot was alive.
Every minute increased the risk. The rescue team immediately began planning the fastest possible extraction.
On the flight line, the rescue crew moved with practiced speed. Every checklist had been rehearsed countless times.
Hidden only a short distance away, Dale Zelko remained perfectly still. Even the smallest movement could reveal his location.
As the helicopter disappeared into the night, the mission had only one objective: bring the pilot home.
Flying just above the terrain, the rescue crew relied on darkness and altitude to remain undetected. Every turn was calculated. Known air defense positions were avoided whenever possible.
Hidden beneath the trees, he listened carefully. Somewhere beyond the darkness, help was getting closer.
Using the encrypted beacon, rescue planners narrowed the search area to only a few square kilometers. Coordinates received. We are closing in on the survivor.
The helicopter reached the extraction area. Hidden in the darkness, Dale Zelko prepared to make one final move.
We are at the extraction point, scanning for signal. Green light.
The rescue specialist finally saw the survivor.
I have visual contact.
The assessment was brief, time was limited, and every second spent on the ground increased the risk. Every moment mattered.
Guided by the rescue specialist, Dale Zelko moved quickly toward the waiting helicopter.
Within moments, the helicopter lifted away from the forest. The survivor was finally leaving hostile territory.
The rescue was a success, but the loss of a single stealth aircraft would reshape military thinking for years to come. Engineers and analysts searched for answers. How had an aircraft designed to avoid detection become vulnerable that night? The lesson was clear. Stealth technology reduces radar visibility, but it does not make an aircraft completely invisible. Success came from patience, disciplined procedures, and careful planning,
not from technology alone. We followed our procedures precisely. We must adjust these entry points for the next rotation.
The thermal signature needs further reduction.
The shootdown of the F-117 did not end the era of stealth.
Instead, it reminded the world that technology, strategy, and human judgment would always evolve together.
The shootdown quickly became more than a battlefield event. It became a case study, studied by military historians around the world.
Future aircraft would benefit from every lesson learned, combining improved design with new operational tactics.
Operational planning evolved alongside technology. Future missions emphasized unpredictability, coordination, and constant adaptation.
The aircraft became an enduring symbol, not only of technological innovation, but also of the reality that every advantage can eventually be challenged. Behind every aircraft, every radar screen, and every mission were people making difficult decisions under extraordinary circumstances. Today, the mission is studied not simply as a combat engagement, but as a lesson in adaptation, planning, and continuous learning.
As stealth technology advanced,
detection systems advanced as well. Innovation became a continuous competition rather than a final destination. Although they stood on opposing sides, both men demonstrated discipline, preparation, and commitment to their responsibilities under extraordinary circumstances.
Decades later, the F-117 remains instantly recognizable, a reminder of one of aviation's most revolutionary chapters. History is shaped by innovation, tested by adversity, and remembered through the lessons it leaves behind. Warfare never stands still. Every generation builds upon the lessons learned by the one before it. Even the most advanced technology depends on thoughtful design, disciplined operation, and constant improvement.
Mission planning became more flexible, emphasizing unpredictability, coordination, and continuous reassessment. Long after the mission ended, the individuals involved remained connected through one remarkable chapter of aviation history.
The story of the F-117 is not simply about
One aircraft or one night. It is a reminder that innovation, strategy, and human determination continue to shape the future.
Today, the battlefield is silent. Nature has reclaimed the landscape. But history still remembers what happened here. Pieces of the aircraft were preserved, not simply as wreckage, but as reminders of one of aviation history's most studied engagements.
Their roles were very different. Both became part of a story that continues to influence military history.
The greatest lesson was simple.
No technology exists in isolation. Innovation and adaptation
Will always challenge one another. The Nighthawk's story did not end over Serbia. Its legacy continues wherever innovation, courage, and history intersect. One mission lasted only a few hours, yet its lessons influenced military planning for decades that followed. Engineers continued asking the same question.
How could tomorrow's aircraft become even more capable in an ever-changing environment?
Technology may shape the battlefield, but people remain responsible for every decision made within it.
History remembers this encounter, not only for the technology involved, but also for the professionalism and discipline displayed under extraordinary pressure.
Every breakthrough eventually becomes part of history, and every chapter becomes a lesson for the future. The F-117 forever changed the way the world thought about precision air power and stealth technology.
Every breakthrough becomes the foundation for the next generation of ideas, designs, and discoveries.
History remembers individuals not only for the events they experienced, but for the professionalism they demonstrated throughout them.
The Nighthawk's story reminds us that innovation is never static. Every advantage is matched by adaptation, and every lesson shapes what comes next. More than 2 decades later, the F-117 Nighthawk remains a symbol of innovation, resilience, and the enduring value of learning from history. Every aircraft eventually becomes part of history. The stories they leave behind continue to inspire those who study them.
Progress is built by learning from every success, every challenge, and every experience that came before.
Behind every mission were people making difficult decisions with the knowledge and responsibilities they carried at that moment in history.
The story of the F-117 reminds us that technology evolves, strategies adapt, and history continues to teach those willing to learn. Some missions change the outcome of a conflict. Others change the way the world thinks. The legacy of the Nighthawk belongs to both. History preserves remarkable moments, not to celebrate conflict, but to understand the decisions, innovations, and lessons they leave behind. The Nighthawk remains one of aviation's most recognizable aircraft because its story extends far beyond a single mission. Every generation inherits the lessons of the past. The true legacy of innovation is the willingness to keep learning.
Thank you for watching.